Indigenous Rights Radio, because knowledge is power.
Cultural Survival's gender policy aims to recognize the various ways that diverse societies can relate to each other and to the environment, constantly seeking balance. This policy does not aim to uplift or center one gender or identity over another, but recognizes the imbalances of power, voice, and respect that exist across the gender spectrum. Indigenous peoples' views and understandings of gender are just as diverse as their cultures are. However, it bears highlighting that there is a fundamental difference between Indigenous peoples' approaches to issues of gender equity and that of Western societies. While Western societies glorify the individual, Indigenous peoples prioritize the communal. We believe that within this communal living, Indigenous peoples can best develop the tools needed to assert their rights and achieve gender equity. As part of our commemoration of Pride Month, we hear from Cultural Survival staff member Bryan Bixcul. Thanks for joining us today, Bryan. We appreciate you allowing us to learn from you. Would you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, good day, everyone. My name is Bryan Abimael Bixcul Par, Maya Tz'utujil, and I work and live in the traditional territories of the Maya Quiche people, very close from my traditional territory. I live I was born around a lake, Lake Atitlan, one of the most beautiful lakes in the world, and it's a wonderful place to be born. And I was raised in my community also, and then I had to move away to study, and finally I'm working in a different area of Guatemala now, but very happy to be with you today. I work with Cultural Survival and currently serving as advocacy coordinator for Cultural Survival.
Thank you so much for that, Bryan. Now, I know personally about the challenges that we face being Indigenous. Can you take us through some of the challenges of being both Indigenous and a member of the LGBTQIA+ community?
Yes, well, I'd like to start by saying that first and foremost, I am a son of the land, a son of my community. I was very fortunate to be born to a community which has a lot of respect for individuals, as well as a lot of respect for our community. And yes, as you said, being Indigenous and part of the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA+ community comes with challenges for sure. But as well, it comes with many beautiful things. I have been able to experience the kindness of people in many, many phases and situations of my life, as well as in my community. So it comes with challenges, but it's a beautiful thing. At the same time, being part of Indigenous and part of the 2SLGBTQIA plus community means to me that we're just part of a community at large. We are just like everyone else, actively participating in the different aspects of society, whether it is the political aspect, the economic aspect, or the cultural aspect of our communities. We are actively participating. More importantly, we are actively contributing to the well-being of the community through the work that we do and through the engagements we have with other individuals in the community and the participation we have in the community. in my experience, again, it's been a beautiful journey. And as everything in life, it comes with challenges, but it's been mostly beautiful.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Brian. Apart from being indigenous, can you take us through the general challenges, if any, that you have faced being a member of the 2SLGBTQIA plus community?
Yeah. Well, I'd like to briefly, elevate not just my story, but the story of others, other brothers and sisters I have who also belong to this community, but who are facing even more challenges than myself. Again, being in Guatemala, my home country, now known as Guatemala, but we know it as Ishimulef in our indigenous languages. Um, Being indigenous, it's already a challenge on itself, and being part of the LGBTQIA plus community adds another layer of complexity to the challenges we already face. One of the first being, of course, the isolation that comes with being part of this community, discrimination as well faced by several individuals. I was listening to a Latin America report. Guatemala is one of the toughest countries to be part of the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus community. It's very difficult, not only in the sense of the isolation or depression that you face in many cases, because you're isolated in many cases by your community and by family members in many cases and by society, but also the discrimination that's faced by people, and the challenges also of accessing basic services like health and safety. So it comes with many challenges. Some of those challenges I have faced myself, as well as discrimination in many spaces. But we are opening also spaces at the same time to elevate not only the stories, but the importance that individuals from our community, an important roles that we play in our communities as well. So those are some of the challenges. But also, I'd like to quickly talk about the spiritual aspect of this situation as well. There are many individuals out there, including me at some point in my life, that thought that we didn't belong into these spaces. And maybe that there was no space for us to participate, to contribute, and to advocate for ourselves. Even though we have so much to say and so much to contribute, there's still a gap in the level of participation that we deserve as human beings, as part of the community, and the level of participation that we are being given by these societal structures in Guatemala.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Let's go to the next question now. What are some of the most pressing issues facing the 2SLGBTQIA plus community today? Perhaps internationally or maybe in your region?
Yes. And I would like to briefly describe, maybe specifically in the Latin America region, a lot of indigenous individuals who are also part of the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus communities are already experiencing discrimination and at the same time issues accessing basic services in many countries. There are some countries in Latin America who have been able to make some progress in the recognition of our rights as individuals. But there are many challenges that still remain. As we speak, many individuals in many countries in Latin America are experiencing persecution for being who they are or for whom they love. They are also experiencing violations of rights, murders, and in many cases, their governments also participate in the violations that they face, not just other individuals, but their governments themselves. And it's very important that we continue elevating their stories, their struggles, that we voice our concerns, and that we say clearly to everyone that there will never be a full implementation of the rights of human beings everywhere when particular sections of society, their rights are still not being fully recognized. This, in many cases, we still need the support of people from all genders and all religions, and we need the support from individuals from all parts of society to realize the promise of human rights for gay people. And that's still the case for people in Guatemala. And, in that's still the case for so many people also in all Latin America. The other aspect of this, and because of the work that we do, it's important to mention that the projects to support the LGBTQIA plus community are not being supported at the level they should be supported and are not given the exposure they deserve as well. It's important that we continue to strive for more support to individuals of the community, to projects to support the realization of human rights, and to support also the livelihoods and the issues important to individuals and communities belonging to the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus communities. So there are some very good signs of improvement in some countries, but there are also signs that things are getting worse in other countries for the rights of Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus individuals. So we hope, and we are very hopeful that in the future it changes, but this also requires a change of heart in society at large. And to remember that we are just like everyone else. We are just like you, just like everyone else. There's nothing different to us. And we are eager to contribute to society, to participate in society, and to support the struggles important to all of us as well.
For people who are listening and want to be friends of the community, how can we be supportive? What are the best ways to support Indigenous 2SLGBTQIA plus individuals and projects?
Yeah, well, this is a very good question. And I think the most important thing we should remember is that the first line of defense for people like me, for individuals belonging to the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus community, is the communities themselves. The communities themselves have a huge power. They hold immense power in the way that our rights are upheld, in the way that we live our lives. When our communities recognize the value of these individuals and their participation in the community, and they strive for inclusiveness, then we will flourish. But when communities neglect these individuals, when communities fail to protect these individuals, then that is also when human rights violations occur. And when there are other problems like discrimination, like lack of access to basic services, these problems are exacerbated when communities are also lacking this support that we as individuals need. So the first line of defense for us will be the communities. At the same time, the way in which others can support in projects that are led by indigenous peoples who are also part of the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus communities is to support the self-determined priorities of these individuals. There are very beautiful projects. I've learned of very beautiful projects. I was actually reading earlier today about these projects that are working to disseminate important information about human rights and the work that they're doing in different spaces to elevate their issues. Those are the kind of projects, grassroots projects, that should be supported so that they can continue also doing their work and striving for recognition and protection of the rights of Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus people. So those are some of the best ways in which others can support. But again, the most important line of defense for us is our own communities. When our communities support us, when our communities respect us, when our communities understand the value that we bring to the table, we can flourish. And we are able to contribute in ways that can support the growth of the community, that can support the community in so many ways. So that, I hope, is the main message. I was also listening to recently, Cultural Survival held a webinar specifically on decolonizing gender. And one of the speakers was mentioning that many of them have had to flee their communities because they were facing persecution in their own communities. And the emotional hit, the emotional toll that individuals take by being separated from their communities when they want to be in their communities, but their rights cannot be fully realized there because they face persecution, discrimination, then the fabric of communities also erode. And it's really important that we go back there. Indigenous cosmovisions recognize that individuals hold immense value, but that also the community is so important to realize, to the full realization of us as individuals. Thank you.
We appreciate you for sharing all this information with us. Now, for our final question, what is your message to the indigenous 2S LGBTQIA plus community?
Well, I would just like to say that, if you are listening to this, and wherever you are, whether you are currently connected to a network of support and you are currently being supported by your community, or maybe you have had to flee your community and seek asylum in other places, or seek asylum in other parts of your own country because you had to do it to realize your full potential and to realize your human rights. Please know that you are not alone. There are many people like you everywhere. I am one of them. And, it's really important for us to know that we are valuable in society, that we contribute to society in ways that you can imagine. Never underestimate the impact you have on the well-being of your community, on the well-being of society. And we hope that you are actively looking for ways to contribute, but at the same time, to elevate the issues that are most important to you, to your community, to you as an individual. Please know also that organizations like Cultural Survival, we are doing everything that we can. And in many cases, there's very little we can do. But we are doing as much as we can to support and elevate those issues that are important to Indigenous peoples and members of the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA plus community. More importantly, you should know that you are valuable, that you are important in this world. And when we're young, maybe there are many things that happen to us in our life that maybe make us think otherwise, but you should know that you have an impact. You have an impact inside, a very positive one. And that I hope that you live a full life to your full potential, that you are able to realize your full potential, and that I in cultural survival is a supporter to this struggle, and that we hope we can make progress fast and soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us and allowing us to learn about this subject. For more on the rights of Indigenous peoples, visit cs.org and follow Cultural Survival on Facebook and Twitter.